This was Yessenia Suarez's daughter, Talia, on her 9th birthday.
I know, nobody can adore me.
Just over 2 weeks after this video was shot.
Bye, see you next year if I could.
Throw kiss.
Talia, her 8-year-old brother Michael Elijah, and mother Yessenia suddenly disappeared. Yessenia's mother immediately points the finger at Yessenia's husband, Luis Toledo.
He said she left. I said no. My daughter would not leave and not told me where she was going.
While Luis sits in jail for assaulting his wife at her office the day before, investigators begin looking through the family's home.
They had an overwhelming smell of some type of cleaner. And then another deputy said he had observed some blood spots or some potential blood evidence in the bathroom.
Tiny droplets along the edge of the tub, a few more found in the master bedroom, but it still wasn't enough to say what happened to Yessenia and her kids.
That's when I was assigned with another detective to go to the jail and conduct an initial interview.
My name is Investigator Pagliari. Okay, I work for the Lewis County Sheriff's Office. And I want to talk to you today about some missing people.
It was strictly a missing person. We needed his help pertaining to the possible whereabouts of his wife and his children.
But right away, Luis says he's confused.
Yo, how can this be a missing person? She hasn't even been gone a couple hours, you know?
He tells detectives he doesn't know where his wife and stepkids are, but that he questions whether they're even really missing.
But, I mean, you know how tight she is with her mom. Why would she go somewhere and not tell her mom?
That's the thing is, you know...
I mean, that's the thing that frightens us.
She is not as tight as you guys think with her mom.
That said, Luis does admit to getting into a fight with Yessenia at her office the day before, after he exposed her affair with a married co-worker, Kevin Dredden. But he also says he never assaulted her.
Dude, I didn't smack her. She beats me. I got plenty of witnesses to show she beats me. I don't touch her.
Luis goes on to say that the night before Yessenia disappeared, they were at the house together and that Yessenia agreed to end the affair.
I said it's not right that me and you are living a bad marriage and he's living his happy marriage. Okay. So let me send him a text. So she gives me the phone. I send him a message.
Sent from Yessenia's phone at 11:54 p.m. October 22nd, that message read, "I really want to work things out with my husband. Can we meet tonight?" Luis says even though he sent the text, his wife agreed to it, but when that boyfriend called just over an hour later, his wife turned on him once again.
She's like, Kevin, it wasn't me that sent you the text messages. I said, I'm done with you and Kevin. And I left. I said, you and Kevin can have each other, and I walked out.
Luis says it was just after 1 a.m. when he went outside and saw his neighbor, Tyshawn Jackson. After that, he fell asleep in his car.
He said he awoke around 8 in the morning.
It was around 8. I was like, what the hell, yo? Like, when I walked into the house, I realized that, the house was empty. Nobody was there.
Luis tells cops he wouldn't be surprised if she was with her secret lover, Kevin. But when police go to question Dredden, he has a solid alibi. He was at home with his wife.
Kevin Dredden heard the very last words ever uttered by Yessenia Suarez. When she hung up the phone and said goodbye, no one ever heard from her again.
And that wasn't the only blow to Luis's defense, because Kevin Dredden wasn't the only person detectives were talking to. Remember that neighbor, Tyshawn Jackson? Turns out shortly after Luis was arrested, Tyshawn approached police with a story to tell.
Tyshawn says that about 6:18 in the morning, the day of Yessenia's disappearance, that Luis had come over to the residence, knocked on the window.
At the time, Tyshawn says he had no idea Yessenia was missing, just that Luis needed to move her car to a neighboring county and asked for Tyshawn's help.
And Tyshawn followed in Luis's car. They dropped off the wife's car over in Seminole County.
It was there where Tyshawn says he saw Luis wiping down that car, and after that,
On their way, they stopped at some dumpsters. at which time Luis gets rid of some cleaning products and this trunk mat.
And there was still one more thing. Tyshawn tells police that after getting rid of those items in the dumpster, Luis turned to him and said this.
That he, quote unquote, had just snapped.
Too afraid to follow up, Tyshawn says he asked Luis to drop him off at a convenience store around 8 that morning. A story police are able to confirm with store surveillance. That's Tyshawn in the gray tank top and shorts. So what did Luis have to say about it all?
The one thing about your story today, I've got some sources that are saying that they saw you in your wife's car this morning.
Impossible.
He said it was impossible. I showed him the picture of the car. Impossible. I didn't drive the car.
It wouldn't make any sense.
That's damaging.
That's a big accusation right there.
That's not a true statement.
That is not true at all.
But police believe Tyshawn, especially since he already took them to the location of Yessenia's car and to those dumpsters where they find Yessenia's trunk mat, the kids' stuffed animals, a vacuum cleaner, and one of Luis's boots, traces of blood on almost everything.
There's no reason for this person to come forward and lie, okay? Reference to that part of it, right?
But Luis continues to deny and says if anything, maybe detectives were asking the neighbor the wrong questions.
Ask that person then where my family is.
Why would they have something to do with it, though?
I don't know. I don't know.
What would you
need to ask them? You need to interrogate them.
If you were to snap, why would you snap?
There's nothing that can push me to snap to hurt my family or do anything to my family.
End of story, so says Luis. But was it really?
Get some rest.
After over 8 hours of admitting to nothing, Luis asked to be taken back to his cell. But it wasn't interview over, just to be continued.
The next day, we interviewed Toledo again.
This time, detectives try a different approach.
I had some pictures of his family. I laid out the pictures. And I waited a little bit to see what his reaction would be.
Okay, here's your wife. Here's your son. And here's your daughter. Okay.
He then begins to tear up. I saw him put his head down.
Detectives sense he might be ready to talk, but they had no idea just how much he was about to say.
Listen, let me tell y'all the truth.
Coming up,
I just want to get it over with.
Luis Toledo tells all.
I'd call it a breakdown.
But just wait until you hear what he says is the real reason his neighbor is placing blame.
There was blood everywhere. I told him, what the did he do? She grabbed me from the back. I just got upset. I got so tired of her grabbing on me. I couldn't get her up the neck.